Have some of the Depends adult diapers here, then a few of the maxi pads here, a few of the thinner pads right next to it, and then the wipes that I like. In the back I have the spray, and then there's enough room right here to stick the Peri bottle in there. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then my name is Nicole, and I am officially 34 weeks pregnant with our third baby boy. And this pregnancy has been very hard, and it seems like it just keeps like piling up, and it's one thing after another. So I want to give you all a pregnancy update. And then we are going to go through my little like postpartum haul, everything that I bought to recover after giving birth. And I hope I got everything I need. So I will really need you all to watch this and tell me if I'm missing something. All right, well, let's get into the pregnancy update for 34 weeks. So over the weekend on Friday, actually, so I guess a little bit before the weekend actually started, when I was grocery shopping, I started having a lot of contractions, and they were painful contractions, and that made me really worried because at that point I was still 33 weeks and even 34 weeks. Like, you don't want to go into labor that early. So that day, my husband was home, and after we finished grocery shopping, I just came home. I took a bath, and then I laid in bed, and I pretty much spent most of the weekend in bed just because I have been having painful contractions. I did call labor and delivery when I got out of the bath, and I talked to one of the nurses there and kind of explained to her what was going on, and she recommended that I just laid in bed, drank some water, and just timed my contractions for the next hour, and if they were getting closer together or if they were not slowing down at all, then she said come into labor and delivery, but if they start to get further apart or just like stop altogether, then I didn't have to worry about going into labor and delivery. So I spent a lot of time in bed. My contractions slowly got further apart, and then they've been really sporadic since that whole incident Friday. I'm still having them. They're still painful. They're just like, they're not painful like I'm in actual labor. Like, I can talk through a contraction, but they don't feel good. Like, I'm not like, moving around. Like, when I'm having a contraction, I'm like, stopped, have this contraction. Okay, like they're noticeable. There's no way I'm having a contraction and I don't feel it right now at this point. So I don't really know if I'm in early labor or if this is just maybe because it's my third time giving birth, or maybe it's just because he's really big. If you haven't watched my previous videos, I am measuring 2 weeks ahead. So I'm not sure if those things are all contributing to why I'm having these painful contractions at this point. I did start having like non-painful contractions at like 20 weeks. So I could feel when my belly was contracting, but they didn't hurt. They've just transitioned to hurting now. Because of that, I spent pretty much the whole weekend in bed or just kind of like lounging around and trying not to do too much because I don't want to go into actual preterm labor. That's a big scare for me. I want to make sure our baby makes it to at least 38 weeks. That would be my goal. And at my 36-week appointment, I will bring all this up with my doctor unless something else happens that I think I need to go into labor and delivery. And then also we'll figure out how big he is, because I feel huge this pregnancy. I'll show you guys. Like, I feel so big. Maybe I'm not big to other people. I think I have a picture of me at 34 weeks, or at least 33 weeks. I'll try to find a picture of me around this time frame with my youngest, so Colton, and I will add it in here so you can see like a side by side of what I looked like when I was pregnant with him versus when I'm pregnant now at the same time frame or very similar time frame. Another thing that the nurse I talked to was like, you're probably just doing too much. You need to rest. Like if you're doing too much, it can make you start having Braxton Hicks, and that's probably what's going on. So I'm trying to like not do as much, but like grocery shopping does not seem like too much to do when you're pregnant. Like I don't work. Like I can't imagine being someone who works full time and being told like you're doing too much. Like what do you do then? You know, like thankfully for the most part, I can get away with sitting down a lot, but that made me realize I need all my postpartum stuff. Like I need to be able to like physically recover if I do go in to labor. So I went on like the Target app or whatever, and I did an order for Drive Up of like all the things I think I need, which makes me a little worried that I may have forgotten something, since I just did like a Drive Up order and I had my husband go and get it for me. That way I didn't have to go shopping or anything. So if I forgot something, please tell me so I can make sure I order it so I get it before I give birth at this rate. But let's talk about everything that I did purchase for postpartum recovery. And then I think I'm going to try to put a little postpartum recovery basket together if everything fits in my basket that I have. And then that way I can keep it in our bathroom for when I come home from the hospital. Because this is a postpartum haul, this is going to be very TMI. So at this point, like if you're not ready to hear like TMI type stuff, then like stop watching this video, okay? Because it's going to get very TMI, and I want to explain to you why I purchased the things that I have purchased personally, and that way you can make decisions if these are things that you want to purchase. So first I have Depends. These are the size small, and these are the stilettos. This particular style brand are my favorite. I bought them with my first, I think, and they're so comfortable. And I've used some other like adult diapers or even like the mesh underwear that the hospital gives, and I hate them all. These have always been my favorite. I don't know if it's just me personally. I'm a very small person, and like the hospital diapers and like the underwear that they mesh underwear they give you, they do not stay on me. They just like kind of like fall off, and that's like obviously something you do not want to deal with if you're trying to, you know, deal with bleeding or anything. But these are the ones I buy. I like them. I will at least take a handful to the hospital with me as like a backup, just in case I don't like the options that they provide. A lot of hospitals provide diapers. They usually provide a good amount that you can take home with you if you want to take them home. So you don't necessarily need these. I will say, pro tip, if you know for sure at this point, like, hey, I'm delivering at whatever hospital, I would go to their website and go to their labor and delivery or their mother and baby unit portion of their hospital. Sometimes it's all together, sometimes it's broken up, and see if they have a section that says what they provide for mom and baby at the hospital, because a lot of hospitals will tell you what they provide, which is really, really good when you're thinking about what you need to recover at home or even what you need to bring to the hospital. So that's like, you should for sure do that if you know what hospital you're going to give birth at, which most of us do unless you're in a weird circumstance, but I prefer these particular Depends, which are just like adult diapers, over any other ones. These are my favorite. Even though I purchased those Depends diapers, I buy a lot of different pads, and let me kind of explain myself here. All right, so these are the Always Maxi pads, and they have the wings, okay? So I like these ones with the wings. And then I also buy these Always, they're the ultra thin pads with the wings as well. And then I also buy the little Always panty liners. And I know this seems like a lot of like pads, so if you don't want to buy all these, like, don't feel like you have to buy all these by any means. But I like to wear the Depends diapers, and then I will throw either a overnight pad if I am bleeding really heavy, and then definitely at night even if my bleeding has slowed down. Or I might throw one of these in there if my bleeding is not as heavy. But I like wearing the Depends because if it does leak or something like that, it's not going to ruin any of my clothes. It's not going to ruin any of my like bed sheets or anything, because it Depends is like an extra backup. And then a lot of times I can get away with just changing the pads inside them without actually taking the whole Depends off if necessary. I can wear the Depends by themselves as well, but I really base it on how heavy my flow is. And I know for me, at least with my kids, I had very heavy flow after I gave birth, and having a maxi pad and a adult diaper together was necessary for the first few days after I gave birth. So that's my preferred thing to do. And then when I switch out of the Depends, because I usually wear them at night or like the first few days when my flow is really, really heavy. But when I switch to wearing regular underwear, and I will wear these pads during the day because I can change quite often. I know I'm not going to like leak through anything. That is what I like to do. And then personally, I hate wearing like pads. I just don't like the way it feels. So I like to have panty liners for the very end of my bleeding where I'm like spotting, but I'm not really like, it's not like a heavy flow at all. It's just a little bit of spotting. I will wear these just to finish off any of the last bit of bleeding that I may have. So I buy all of these just because this is a preference. I like to wear the smallest option as possible based on my flow, and I like these brands. So this is just what I have found. And just make sure you're getting unscented. Make sure you're not getting anything that has any type of scent to it. That's just not good for you. Personally, I don't think pads are good for you at all. I'm not a big fan of them. This is the only time that I will wear something like that because of the situation. I have a Diva cup, or I don't even know if that's the right brand, but I have a menstrual cup that I use when I'm not postpartum, because you can't use those postpartum. I also got these Tuck cooling pads. So these are essentially for hemorrhoids, but when you're recovering, it feels good just down below, and the witch hazel helps heal everything. So what I typically do with these Tuck pads is when I put my pad in, like my actual pad in my underwear or even in the Depends, I will line the pad with these Tuck pads all the way across it from the bottom up, and that just like gives like a nice little cooling sensation, and it can help heal it faster. Even if you don't tear, which I've torn each time, these can be really good at just making everything feel better. This is something that my second hospital I gave birth at, they actually provided 2 things of this. So I can't figure out whether or not the hospital I give birth at now has these. So I just purchased it for myself so I would know that I for sure had some. But I would check with your hospital because you might not need to buy it. Your hospital may provide it for you, because I got 2 of these containers like this from the hospital I gave birth at with my youngest. Another thing that your hospital may provide for you, it's kind of hit or miss. I've seen some hospitals that do and some hospitals that don't. The first hospital I gave birth at, they gave me like an off-brand version of this, which works just fine. The second hospital I gave birth at that gave me the Tux pads also gave me 2 of these. So they provided a lot of stuff, and this is just like a spray that can help heal. So if you do get cut or anything, it can help heal it faster. But it also is like another cooling relief, which can kind of help it feel numb. So like if it's really uncomfortable when you're sitting down and stuff, spraying something like this can help it feel better. But like I said, check with your hospital, see, they might provide it for you. You might not have to buy it for yourself. Something that I did not buy because I know that my hospital will provide it, and almost every hospital provides it that I've ever seen. So you probably don't need to buy either, is a peri bottle, but I'll show you what it looks like here. I know a lot of people buy the Freedom Mom peri bottle, but I bought one and I tried using it, and I also used just like the regular peri bottle that the hospital gave me. And I honestly preferred the hospital peri bottle over the Freedom Mom peri bottle. So I'll show you what both look like, but I just would prefer to use the hospital one. So I'm not going to buy a peri bottle. I'm just going to use the one that they give me. And most hospitals will give you more than one. At least from my experience, they've given me more than one. Now this is like a me thing. I like these. These are flushable wipes. Now you can just use baby wipes if you prefer just to use baby wipes if you have them on hand. I like flushable wipes. We use these in our house, so I always make sure I have them for postpartum. Now, if you've never delivered a baby before, then I want to tell you, you should not be wiping down there right after you deliver. Like, it's just like, that's just a no-go. That's why they give you the peri bottle, so you can like rinse everything off and not wipe. But TMI part right here, I like wipes to wipe like maybe around like my leg area. So like where the pad like sits, sometimes like blood gets to other areas than like right where you gave birth from. That makes sense. So I like having these types of wipes that I can wipe and clean myself up, but I'm obviously not wiping anything that's sore because I don't want to irritate anything. But I cannot handle feeling dirty or anything. So I just like to be able to wipe everything up. And then they are nice because you can flush these, so you're not adding more to your trash can. But obviously there's gonna be pads and things in your trash can as well. So you could just use regular baby wipes in that kind of scenario. So I would just recommend you have some type of wipes near you in the bathroom, just in case you are getting blood anywhere else other than just in the area where the peri bottle is going to be, flushing everything out. So that's just like a recommendation that I have based on my personal preferences. Flushable wipes are just something that is like a staple in our house, so I like to have them for postpartum too. I always make sure I buy more when I know I'm going to be postpartum. It's just something that I like. So I hope I have everything I need. I can't think if there's anything else that I would want that I don't have for postpartum recovery. I've made like the padsicles before. I just didn't really ever use them. I will say though, if your hospital has the padsicles, like they make like, at least like when the hospital I've given birth at, they had like newborn diapers that they like filled with ice and they could bring them in for you. I love those because right after you first give birth, like that, ice there can really help with swelling, and it can make you feel a lot better. I just didn't use it at home. Like by the time I got home, it wasn't really necessary for that. But if that's something you're interested in, then you might want padsicles as well. Just personally, I think after the first like 48 hours, I didn't necessarily need that anymore. I have this little basket. I think I used it previously for my little like recovery stuff. So my plan is to try and do it again this time. Let's see how I can get everything to fit in this little basket. So this is how it's all gonna go in this basket. This doesn't really fit in the basket because it's large. So I'll just have to put it in the bathroom with me. But I have some of the Depends adult diapers here, then a few of the maxi pads here, a few of the thinner pads right next to it, and then the wipes that I like. In the back, I have the spray. And then there's enough room right here to stick the Peri bottle in there. But a lot of times I just leave the Peri bottle on like a clean towel or a paper towel next to my sink, because whenever I go into the bathroom to like clean up or like, use bathroom or whatever, I will then put warm water in the Peri bottle, and then I will bring that into like next to the actual toilet with me. And then after I'm done, I will rinse out the Peri bottle and then leave it open so it can like air dry in between uses. So there is a spot for it whenever I decide I want to put it in there, but I probably won't necessarily put it in there. But that is everything I think I need for postpartum recovery. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. If you guys think I did, please comment below, because I'm hoping I have a few more weeks before I give birth. But if for some reason that I give birth sooner, I want to make sure I have everything before I deliver. Thank you for watching today's video, and I hope you found it helpful. If you are preparing to deliver your baby and you're wondering what you should buy for postpartum recovery, and I promise I will keep you all updated on what is going on with our baby and how our labor is progressing. Hopefully everything goes smoothly and I can keep this baby in here for at least 4 more weeks. I will see all of you in my next video. Bye.